Pro Football Playbook, presented by the Pigskin Podcast Network, your source for team news, draft needs, player profiles and rankings, full Senior Bowl, Combine, and NFL draft coverage, news, analysis, discussion. It's in the playbook. Now, here is your host, sports journalist Bill Alvstad, and featured analyst Keith Myers. Welcome into the Playbook NFL Podcast. I'm your host, Bill Alvstad, sitting down with Keith Myers. We're going to talk division matchups this week and breaking down each division. We're going to do several shows and kind of run through these by division. We're going to start off with the Afc West. Keith, how you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm all ready. Let's record some shows.
Yeah, we got a brand new show here. Brand new website, brand new show. These are just kind of getting us started, getting our feet wet, and getting some shows up on the website. AFC West, the probably the strongest division in football right now. If we're really kind of breaking this down, the Broncos are a surprising team so far in the division, with Teddy Bridgewater at quarterback beating out Drew Lock before the season started. And the defense has really only given up 26 points so far in their 3 victories. And the offense has been really well, doing very well as well, with a point differential overall of 50 plus 50. However, they've played the easiest schedule so far in the NFL with the Giants, Jaguars, and Jets. Those teams have a combined record of 0-9. What do you think about the Broncos at the top?
Well, I think that they're better than people expected them to be because their quarterback situation is more stable than I think people expected them to be. We knew the defense was going to be good, right? I mean, Von Miller and company, they're outstanding. The question was, could the offense do anything? And last year it couldn't. And this year they bring in Teddy Bridgewater, and he has been this nice stabilizing force that's really helped them. Okay, it's also really easy to help the offense and look really good when you play some really bad teams. So we'll see how long they remain as the class of that division. But
I don't even think that they're the class of the division. I think they just have the best record currently. Although they share that with the Raiders.
I would say I would agree with you, and they're not the class of the division, but they are in first place.
Yes.
So
well, let's talk about the Raiders. Yeah, the Raiders are also 3-0. And it might be only week 4, but the upcoming Raiders Chargers game is already kind of has a playoff feel to it. The Raiders are currently tied for first place at 3-0, and the Chargers are behind them at 2-1. But the Chargers have gone in and beaten some quality opponents against the Ravens, Steelers, and Dolphins. Although the Steelers are kind of but they're in a great position to compete with the Chargers for that division title.
Yeah, it's interesting that you should compete with the Chargers for the division title.
I know.
And not another team there that we'll talk about here in just a couple minutes. But the Raiders have looked significantly better than I think most people thought. And I think it's one of those things where it's easy to write off the Raiders right now and just think, well, Gruden hasn't had any success since coming back into the NFL, and it's going to be a problem. And it's easy to just make excuses and say they're not going to be great. But they've played pretty well. I mean, the Dolphins aren't a great team, but they're a good roster. They're a good team. The Steelers we thought were going to be good, but they haven't been, and the Ravens are a good team. So you look at that and you go, okay, this is a team that they're the 3 teams that they've played aren't bad. I mean, they've only got a combined 4 wins, but there's still some decent, at least teams that we thought were going to be decent football teams, which is completely different than Denver that has their 3 victories are against a team with combined 0 victories. So, they're playing well. I mean, Carr's playing well. The defense has been surprisingly decent. And overall, I mean, right now at 3-0, they're the team I believe that's in the driver's seat.
Yeah, well, it's interesting. So it is interesting, and there's a couple of teams behind them that I still think have a real good shot. And we just spoke about the Chargers. They haven't quite played their best football, I don't think, yet in 2021, having dropped a 3-point game to the Cowboys. But they did beat the Washington Football Club in a nice quality win versus the AFC champion Kansas City Chiefs, 30-24 in a great game.
That was a fantastic
and
game.
the sky's the limit with quarterback Justin Hubert, who came into the league with a lot of skepticism and has just really proven everybody wrong very quickly. New head coach Brandon Staley has a loaded roster, and he's trying to flip the script on the AFC West. It's really an interesting battle.
Well, this was a team that, because of Justin Herbert, really surprised a lot of teams last year. Looked better than they thought they were going to be, and then now the roster's ready, and they needed a quarterback to really solidify
and a head coach.
Yes, and they did
defensive minded head coach.
Yeah, they needed a coaching staff that could put it together, and they didn't have that in the past. But Herbert was all the skepticism. What we've learned, anyone that's studied the draft and watched some Oregon football and all of that will tell you that the offense that he was playing in Arroyo's offense there in Oregon was bad. It was poorly designed. It was everything about it was bad. And now he's in the pros with a better just a coaching staff that cares.
Yeah, he's not having to play outside of his ability. Like before, he was just having to carry that entire load at Oregon, and now he's got players around him.
Yeah, and they're calling plays that utilize his skills and don't force him to do the things that he's maybe not as good at.
Great accuracy and long ball strength is just remarkable, really, for a young kid. I think, like I said, the sky's the limit.
Yeah, his arm talent is amazing, and the fact that he's putting it together with the processing and the other parts of it, he's a genuine star that's coming up. And I think that as a it's fun to watch. It's fun to watch when these young players break through and just kind of establish themselves.
So let's talk about the darling of the AFC for the last few years, the Kansas City Chiefs, and an already established star in Patrick Mahomes.
Absolutely.
They haven't really struggled per se this season. Each game has been close and within a single score at the end, but they haven't really been able to overcome the challenges presented by good opponents. Having opened the season by beating a good Browns team, they've fallen to the Ravens and to the Chargers early, two really good quality teams. But at least two of the next three are winnable against the Eagles and Washington. And the Bills game is looming in the middle there on a Sunday night game to kind of find out where they really stand.
Yeah. And so when you look at them, they're 1-2, they're expected to be the team in the AFC and that everyone else is gunning for them, but they've already lost to two of the teams that are expected to be right behind them. And what I think it shows is that this is a team that's margin for victory is less than it has. The roster, it's what happens when you have back-to-back Super Bowl years, is other teams start picking off players off your roster, and their offensive line, they've kind of revamped a little bit, but it hasn't come together quite the way they want. They need a second option at wide receiver besides Tyreek Hill, which they may have gotten if he can keep his reinstatement going, as Josh Gordon has signed with them. And their defense is a lot more porous than I think teams, or that fans at least, believe that it was going to be. So this is a team that I still believe is not just a playoff contender, but a Super Bowl contender, a team that could come out of the playoffs for the AFC. But the margin for victory has shrunk. They need to understand that and game plan accordingly. And I think they'll be okay. But they're going to lose more games this year than they would have in past years.
Yeah. Well, it's surprising too that this division has kind of come up to the top of the NFL, along with the NFC West. Clearly, there's at least three teams in this division, I think, that could emerge and possibly be playoff teams, with the Broncos kind of on the fringe, and we'll see how it goes. Right now, the Broncos stand pretty good, but it's a long season, and they need
Mm-hmm.
to prove that those wins against really poor teams can hold up against some really good teams, and we'll find that out. So, all right, that's the wrap for the AFC West in the early going, and we look forward to getting this show off the ground. And it's really good to be back here with you, Keith, in a new show, a new format, and we'll just keep going. So until next time, you can follow Keith at Myers NFL. I'm at Alvstad NFL. The show is at Playbook NFL, and
with an underscore.
With an underscore in there. Yeah.
Playbook underscore NFL.
And playbooknfl.com has all the shows and all that good stuff. You can find us on your favorite platforms and YouTube. So until next time, we'll see you guys. Thanks for listening to the Pro Football Playbook Podcast. Follow Keith at Myers NFL. Bill is at Alvstad NFL. The show is at PF_Playbook. Listen and subscribe on your favorite podcast app or YouTube, and at our website, profootballplaybook.co.